Learning point. The situated learning theory. The situated learning theory is one theory which exemplifies the view that learning is a product of the cultural context where one lives or exists. Situated learning takes as its focus the relationship between learning and the social situation in which it occurs, instead of asking what kinds of cognitive processes and conceptual structures are involved. They focus on the kinds of social engagements that provide the proper context and facilitate learning. It is a theory kung saan isa ito sa halimbawa na learning is a product of cultural context. At pag sinabi nating cultural context, ito yung sa isang environment or situation, yung belief, values, and practices ng isang culture ay nauugnay. Situated cognition or situated learning is a theory that suggests learning is naturally tied to authentic activity, context, and culture. It means that most learning occurs naturally through social activities, context, and the culture which learners are exposed to. Situated learning from the word itself situated or situational. Katulad halimbawa sa isang field trip where students actively participate in an unfamiliar environment, cooperative education and internship experiences in which students are immersed and physically active in an actual work environment. This theory suggests that it is more difficult to learn from unnatural activities. For example, in a science class, changes in the Earth's surface could be learned and understood better if students are allowed to go out of the classroom, say, go to the mountains and make lengthy observations rather than by reading books or looking at pictures to study these changes. Sa theory na ito, sinasabi na mas matututo or mas mabilis matuto ang isang estudyante kapag sila mismo yung nakasaksi or nandun sila sa sitwasyon na iyon. Sabi nga nila, experience is the best teacher. Situated learning is deriving and creating meaning from the real activities of daily living where learning occurs in a pro-social but informal setting. Sa situated learning, tayo mismo yung nagbibigay kahulugan sa mga activities na ginagawa natin, kung saan learning occurs in a pro-social. Ang ibig sabihin ng pro-social, andun yung intention natin to help other people, like sharing, donating, cooperating, and volunteering. Sa pakikisalamuha pa lang, andun na yung learning na nakukuha natin. It suggests that learning takes place through social relationship within a cultural milieu. Pag sinabi nating cultural milieu, it refers to the setting and environment in which a person lives, including social and cultural aspect of life. Yung term na milieu ay from the French word na ang ibig sabihin ay middle, which it describes a location and cultural environment. The concept of communities of practice assumes that learning should not be viewed as a mere transmission of knowledge but as a distinctly embedded and active social process. In this theory, ang learning ay hindi dapat binabasta-basta lang. Kumbaga, hindi ka lang nag-aaral para magkaroon ng kaalaman, but also it is an active social process. Such type of learning is situated by specific context, where learning is socially situated, and within authentic social and physical environments. Social interaction is a critical component of situated learning. Learners become involved in a community of practice which embodies certain beliefs and behaviors to be acquired. This is saying that the learning experiences in school should not unsituate, learning materials. Instead, these materials should be meaningful and within the experiential reach of the students. Learning both outside and inside school advances through collaborative social interaction and the social construction of knowledge. In this theory, sinasabi na dapat makahulugan yung bawat karanasan natin sa paaralan at hindi unsituate o yung sinasabi nila na sa libro mo lang nabasa pero hindi mo pa na-experience na gawin. A sociologist, anthropologist, and learning theorist, Jane Leave is one of the notable proponents of situated learning theory. Ang ibig sabihin ng sociologist-anthropologist ay sociologist studies how people act within societies and other groups. Anthropologist, a person engaged in the practice of anthropology. And anthropology is a study of aspect of humans within past and present societies. So, si Jane Leave ay isang learning theorist at isa siya sa tanyag na nagbibigay ng proposisyon ng situated learning theory. Following are the highlights or the main ideas of the situated learning theory that she advanced. Knowledge is socially constructed. Knowledge is acquired and developed through social experiences. It means that the learner constructs and develops knowledge on the basis of his experiences as a member of a social group. One way humans create social construct is by structuring what they see and experience into categories. For example, they see people with different skin colors and other physical features and create the social construct of race. Madalas nangyayari sa totoong buhay na mas nagiging malawak yung pananaw natin sa isang bagay kapag ito ay nakita mismo ng dalawa nating mata o di kaya tayo ay nasa sitwasyon na yon. Knowledge evolves naturally as a result of individuals participating in and negotiating their way through new situations. New knowledge is built as the learner experiences and deals with new situations. Halimbawa nito, sa isang activity or situation, through participating and negotiating, nagkakaroon tayo ng new knowledge and that knowledge ay pwede nating i-apply sa mga susunod pa na activity. Kumbaga, sa kasabihan na, ay madali na lang sa akin ito kasi pinagdaanan ko na to. Knowing, learning, and cognition are socially constructed that are seen or expressed in actions of people and people interacting. Situated learning theory, kung ano yung nalalaman mo at pinag-aaralan mo ay naipapalabas mo within your action and people interacting. So, hindi lang ikaw yung nakakaalam ng idea mo or your experiences dahil nakikita ito ng ibang tao. Unlike sa unsituate, kadalasan ikaw lang yung nakakalam at minsan kulang pa yung natutunan mo. Construction of meaning is tied to specific context and purposes. So, kailangan yung pag-construct mo ng meaning ay malapit or iisa lang doon sa tiyak na kaugnayan na kahulugan at yung purpose doon. Learning is fundamentally social and inseparable from the practice it is supposed to develop. Learning is viewed as dependent on and inseparable from its context. In situated learning theory, learning is fundamentally social at hindi siya pwedeng ihiwalay or hindi maaaring paghiwalayin from the practice na gusto nating i-develop. Learning is situated within authentic activity, context, and culture. Pag sinabi nating authentic activity or authentic, ito ay tunay na naganap. And to create authenticity, What is being taught needs to be aligned with the learner's community of practice. To create authenticity, kailangan kung ano yung itinuturo sa atin ay magagawa natin ayon sa pagkasunod-sunod nito. Situated cognition is a way of naming the kind of learning that takes place in and through common practices among a group of people with similar goals and interests. Learning is not intentional but happens as a function of its surroundings. Sinasabi dito na yung situated cognition is referred to someone's knowledge that is connected to his action or even activities. Learning is in part about increased participation and that it is legitimate to participate in different ways. Nakikipag-participate tayo because of learning. Kahit saang anggulo natin tignan ay hindi naihihiwalay ang learning sa kung paano tayo makipag-participate in different ways. Cultural models are not held by individuals but live in the practices of a community and how people engage with each other, as well as any tools they use and the specific cultural context. When we say cultural models, it refers to a kind of collectively held, distributed cognitive structure that serves as a repository of cultural knowledge for a cultural community. Knowledge here refers not just to intellectual and verbal knowledge, but also to pragmatic knowledge of how to do things, of how to behave, and or the physical and social consequences of action. Designing learning experiences from situated learning perspective start with some assumption that learning is grounded in the action of everyday situations. Lahat ng meron sa situated learning perspective, nagsimula sa isang palagay na ang learning ay nakabase sa mga bagay na nangyayari sa buhay natin. Knowledge is acquired situationally and transfers only to similar situations. Halimbawa, binigyan ka ng teacher mo ng isang mahirap na task. Habang ginagawa mo yun, may knowledge kang nakukuha. At kapag naulit yun sa parehong sitwasyon, yung kaalaman na nakuha mo sa unang task na binigay sa'yo ay pwede mong gamitin sa susunod kung parehas sila ng sitwasyon. Social processes influence the way people think, perceive, solve problems, perform procedures, build declarative knowledge, and interact. Social processes refers to forms of social interaction that occur repeatedly. By social processes, we mean those ways in which individuals and groups interact and establish social relationship. Malaki ang impluwensya nito lalo na kapag nagkakaroon tayo ng conflict, competition, and accommodation. Learning is enmeshed in participation in complex social environments where there are people, situations, and activities. Another term for enmeshed is engaged. Research has demonstrated that engaging students in the learning process increases their attention and focus, motivates them to practice higher level critical thinking skills, and promotes meaningful learning experiences. So, dito mas nagkakaroon ng lakas ng loob ang isang estudyante na makipag-participate sa isang lugar kung saan maraming tao silang nakakasama sa isang situations, and activities. Knowledge undergoes construction and transformation through continuous use. Kapag patuloy nating gagamitin yung kaalaman na meron tayo, ay habang tumatagal mas lumalawak yung kaalaman natin at nagkakaroon ng pagbabago. Kumbaga, Every time you gain new knowledge, mas nag-transform or minsan naiiba yung perspective mo about something kesa dati. Further rationalize the importance of authenticity in situated learning. These are: number one, knowledge is a product of making and creating meanings and cannot be separated from its context. Nabubuo yung kaalaman natin sa isang bagay sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay kahulugan natin dito. Halimbawa, may katanungan ka sa isang bagay at ginawaan mo ito ng kahulugan. Doon, nabubuo yung knowledge mo sa bagay na yon. Number two, learning is a continuous, lifelong process from acting within and reacting to situation. So, learning is continuous. Hanggat nabubuhay ka dito sa mundo, as long as meron kang experiences, ang learning, nandyan lang yan. Number three, the tools of learning and their usage reflect the particular accumulated insight of communities of practice. Pag sinabi nating communities of practice, it is a group of professional people who share the same interest in resolving an issue, improving skills, and learning from each other's experiences. So, the idea of situated learning in communities of practice, there is an intimate connection between knowledge and action. So, yung mga bagay na ginagamit mo sa pag-aaral at kung paano mo ito gamitin ay nagre-reflect din doon sa communities of practice. Learning is a process of enculturation. Given the chance to observe and practice actual behaviors of members of a culture group, people pick up relevant jargon, imitate behaviors, and start to act in accordance with norms and expectations of that culture. Learning is a process of enculturation. Pag sinabi nating enculturation, it is the process of learning our own culture. At sa pamamagitan nun, binibigyan tayo ng pagkakataon na mapag-aralan yung bawat pag-uugali ng bawat isa sa isang culture group. May mga tao na magulo yung pag-uusap, some are imitating behaviors at sa katagalan, doon na nila natutunan kung paano makisama sa isa't isa. Ganun ang nangyayari sa theory na ito. It will give you a chance to cooperate, observe, and gain knowledge. These concepts highlight the role and importance of socio-cultural factors in creating learning and deriving meaning using materials, meaningful and real-life experiences, and even culturally desired behaviors and expectations. Pag sinabi nating socio-cultural factors, ito yung the larger scale forces within cultures and societies that affect the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So, papaano nakakaapekto yung socio-cultural factors sa learning ng isang estudyante? Example of socio-cultural factors include language, law, religion, values, attitudes, social organization, family, community, a person's role or status among others. The sociocultural perspective view learning taking place through interaction, negotiation, and collaboration in solving authentic problems while emphasizing learning from experiences, which is more than cooperative learning. Concept related to situated learning and are worth remembering. It is worth remembering kasi andun yung kagustuhan mo na gawin ng isang bagay, yung cooperation and participation mo sa isang situation. and applying in classroom activities and situations are authenticity, constructing meaning, community of practice, and social context. When we say authenticity, it refers to the proven fact that something is legitimate or real. Authenticity means pagiging tunay. That is why in this concept, the activities and situations are authentic. It should be borne in mind that the school or the classroom is a community of practice where there are rules and standards to be followed and where certain desired behaviors are expected to be exhibited by learners. On the other hand, teachers may apply in their teaching methodologies and content or subject matter the important concepts related to situated learning theory. Lagi nating tandaan that our school is our second home and a community of practice kung saan may mga rules and standards tayong sinusunod at kailangan kung ano yung pag-uugali natin na maganda, yun yung ipapakita natin. On the other hand, importante na ma-apply ng isang teacher sa pamamaraan ng pagtuturo nila itong situated learning theory because it helps a lot dun sa mga mag-aaral para mas maintindihan nila yung itinuturo sa kanila. These are exposure of learners to real-life learning materials and experiences. The use of technique where students as a group can construct their own knowledge as a result of learning and interacting with each other, and emphasis on culture as an important tool and source of learning. Halimbawa nito ay sa isang klase, nagkaroon tayo ng groupings kung saan nakakabuo o nagkakaroon tayo ng kaalaman because of having a learning and interaction with our group mates. And mas na-i-emphasize yung culture natin as an important tool and source of learning. Dahil doon, kaya mas na-i-expose ang isang estudyante na matuto sa mga bagay na totoong nangyayari sa buhay natin.